Hello. New house. Is this the first view of the new house?
Yes, this lovely blank wall I've got behind me.
What is that little cloud on your side?
This was Emily and I's system for like when we're on a meeting. So like if this is, I can be talked to, and then this is like, leave me alone. She's got one on her desk.
Very
Brilliant.
nice, very nice.
I need one. Did the move go okay?
Yeah, it was actually pretty easy. The whole thing took about 5 hours. So they were quick.
Nice.
Stressful as all hell, but it went well.
It wouldn't be a house move if it wasn't stressful. You wouldn't know you've moved, right?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
So shall we start?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, no demo today because there's a critical security release in progress. We didn't want to mess up with canceling jobs during the security release. So discussion items. So I have the first point. It's about QA after the production rollback. So right now, either for regular deployment and rollback, we don't run QA at the end. But there's a scheduled smoke test. The sanity run, the smoke test, sanity run, whatever, that runs every 2 hours in production. It's a scheduled pipeline from the QA job, and the result of this is published. There's a channel, QA production, and then every 6 hour or 12 hour, I think, maybe twice a day, we run the full suite. So the full suite every test. So I mean, this is just giving context. So I'm happy to be convinced otherwise, but I don't think we want to run the QA as part of the rollback for several reasons. First, I mean, if you want, maybe let's discuss this before I give my idea. I already spoiled what is my point, but just if you think we should run it, please tell me why, or if you think we should not run it, why again.
Should we have a quick vote and see who thinks we should run it and who shouldn't? And then we can see if we're all in agreement, we don't need to discuss, right? If you think, I'm going to go for a vote that's going to be chaotic unless you think about it. Don't look at anyone else. Think about this one, right? If you put your left hand up, then then you think yes. Right hand, no. Okay, everyone got that? Everyone know their left and right?
Yes, we should run.
I'm not sure if I know what my video
Yeah,
is.
there's a Zoom setting.
Yeah, don't look at your video, right? Or hold a cat. We haven't all got cats. Hold a cat if you think, yeah, no, I'm joking. Yeah, your left hand if you think yes.
We can thumb up or thumb down as a reaction, right? We have reactions. We can thumbs up. Or...
I mean, we could do that if you think that would be more sensible. Yeah. Let's do that. Thumb up.
We're talking about the full QA run or everything? Like, can we still run smoke?
We're looking, I mean, we're running nothing, so that's the point, right?
So that's good. Let's vote on thumb up if you think we should run something, and then we can discuss what the something is, and thumbs down if you think we should.
There's no thumbs down because this is a very polite
down,
application. So it's clap, thumbs up, heart, joy.
Basically do thumbs up or thumbs down.
So We should
Okay,
pick
you
two.
just took the action away. Right, okay, everyone, but the thing is, you've got to all vote, right? I don't want any sitting on the fence. Everyone has to make a decision here. So 2 thumbs up, we need to run something. We'll discuss what that is. 1 thumb up, we're good, right? We don't need to run anything extra. Everyone agree?
I don't know. Can we run 2 thumbs up? How does it work?
You can use your hands.
Oh, no, I was thinking about sorry, I was looking at this thing here, right? So that's why I say there's no.
Oh yeah, we're on video.
Okay, yeah, okay, so never mind, forget everything I said. I'm fine, thumbs up, thumbs up. Just tell me how to vote. So I was thinking about the Zoom feature. So sorry.
This is like best recording ever. I'm just going to cut these first 5 minutes and just keep these, just delete everything after this. This is the bit, still video we need. Okay, so we're in agreement, right? You're going to use your hands. 2 thumbs up, we'll run something. We discuss what it is. 1 thumb up, we're fine. It's good. Without any tests, pipeline as is. Okay. 3, 2, 1, vote. Scarback, you're the decider. This is why you shouldn't wait.
Oh, I didn't wait. I don't have any thumbs to vote for. No, like realistically, here's my opinion on this situation. We could run QA. That's fine. Like I support the decision if we choose to do that, or some other solution. But I mean, this is production, right? We should have all the necessary metrics, SLAs, SLOs, alerting, all that stuff. If something is broken, we should know about it very quickly. If we have some sort of degradation, we should know about it very quickly. Either users will yell, scream, panic cry, or something bad will be happening in some way, shape, or form. I still support running something. I just don't think it's a mandatory thing that we need to worry about because we don't run QA today after deploys, right?
I agree. I think you're right.
Like,
But
I think in general, if we're suffering some sort of outage, the first thing that we're going to be checking is something related specific to that outage. And QA is not built with, hey, here's an outage. Let's test for this outage or test for this degradation.
Yeah.
Until QA has that capability, which it never will because outages or degradations are all over the place. There's no way to test for that. That's going to be the first thing we look for. So if there's a rollback procedure, if we're going to put something in a procedure, validate that we've remediated that incident, whether that be via a QA test or whether that be some manual handling or just waiting for metrics to come through and tell us that we're okay or not. That's realistically, in my mind, what the solution really should be. Hence my no thumbs.
It's a good point. It is a good point. What do you reckon, Robert?
Yeah, I agree with like, I don't know, probably just at a minimum running the smoke tests, but they don't need to be blocking at all. I'm also curious, this is probably a different conversation, but like, say we did run QA and something turned up, what do we even do with that situation? Do we roll back a rollback?
Yeah, it is true. I mean, I kind of in favor of, I think you're right, Scarback. I kind of like the idea of running something just because I think the biggest challenge we're going to face with rollbacks is, do people trust rollbacks? And I think having the tests be able to tell us something is working as it was, like it should always just be like they passed before, they pass again, and all good. But I kind of like the idea that we might have something additional that if people are, oh, how do we know this rollback did its thing? We can say we have like all the metrics, but also look, this QA tests are passing. So we know we can trust the metrics. I just wonder how many extra kind of confident points we might want to be able to give for a rollback.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Jen.
If we run a rollback, then probably because something in production failed, right? And we need to roll back. And we already have a lot of attention on whatever was breaking, right? So we roll back because something is broken. And when we roll back, then probably a lot of people are checking anyway if we are recovering from the status. And we roll back to something which worked before, right? Or at least where we know the failure cases before. So it's really about testing for outages or not, right? And for that, as Skarbeck said, we should have metrics and alerts already. So I think it's strange to run tests against production, because I think the idea of testing is to prevent something coming into production which is broken, right? So it should happen before that.
I don't know. I'm not sure I agree. Like, I think maybe not the full suite, but the smoke tests, I think, are like everything's generally working. Because I think what we don't know is application, I guess the scenario that I assume we'll hit at some point, certainly it's a big unknown, is the application code that doesn't roll back cleanly. And that won't necessarily be the thing we're doing the rollback on.
Yeah, this is possible, right? But so there's a reason why Skarbeck and I are born the same day, probably because we think the same thing about
the same person.
I mean, just say the thing that I want to say. So, and also Henry doubled down on this, because basically, so we are discussing testing a rollback, which is something where it's kind of a self-inflicted pain. And so I understand the need for running a QA at the end, because you want to make sure that everything is still fine, because it wasn't broken before. So on that regard, I reached out to QA asking, can we run this on demand if we want? And there is a scheduled pipeline that we can play. So as an extra, say safety, or we can document that is possible, but maybe we just, so if you want, you can run it, and we can run this as part of the our testing. But I will not put this in the automation for also another reason on top of that. First one is, okay, everyone is already watching at the problem at hand, because this didn't start out of nothing. So there was a real problem, someone knows it, and everyone is working for fixing that one. So we already have a matrix that tells us if the rollback was successful in terms of resolving that specific outage. This is something. Then it may introduce another outage, but that's not a problem. And then will be another incident, and then will be up to on-calls and release managers figuring out which one of the two outage is best to have. Because guess what? This is what we have, right? So you can choose outage 1 or outage B, and then either you move forward again, or you're back to, you deal with the small, let's say, with one of the two outages and try to move forward.
Fine. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's reality, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I kind of like the, sorry, go ahead. I think
there was an extra thing that I want to point out, which is, I think, how QA can be dangerous, because we don't know, I mean, right now, ahead of time, we don't know what type of outage we are rolling back. So it may be one of those outages that is putting stress on the system, and so it takes a longer time. So we basically, when we start rolling back, we can see that the metrics, whatever, is trending down, but it's still, maybe there's a long queue of failed job on Sidekick, whatever. So maybe there's a long queue in resolving the incident, and adding stress like a simulated synthetic traffic on production, I don't think is a good idea, because you want the system to recover as quick as possible. So adding extra traffic, why should we do this?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say actually that the concern I had mostly was, as the tests are running scheduled, like I can imagine if we ran 2 lots at the same time, that's interesting stuff could certainly happen. So, okay, but I do think we should add somewhere into the documentation, maybe, that we have these, we can run the scheduled job, because I think there will be times where we'll be asked, like, how confident are we? We can just trigger the test and be sure. So that makes sense. Super. Okay. I'm going to just summarize what you said, Alessio, is. And people have to just watch the video if they want the full ins and outs. It'll just look like you kind of like dictated this. So I'm going to eliminate all the democracy. Cool. Does that make sense? So, Robert, does that make sense to you that we just run it scheduled if we want extra checks?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. I think there will be times when we might want to do it, but yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Scheduled or manual?
The manually trigger.
Yeah, manually triggering the
yes,
scheduled one.
Yeah.
It also has the extra benefit that it doesn't overlap with the scheduled one, because if you run manual, it should not trigger it because it's already running. Not sure, but it should.
Yeah,
I don't think
it
that's
has
true.
the added
You see it
benefit.
as running, so it doesn't. The counter. Otherwise, you
I mean,
see
yeah,
next run in.
Yes, it doesn't automatically prevent you from doing it.
It has the added benefit that we could also maybe add a step, just let quality know if when we do that manual trigger, so that they don't get surprised if results come in. So we should probably add those 2 steps to our runbook. So. Cool. Great stuff. So, Myra.
Yep. So I prepared the change request for testing a rollback in dry run mode. And well, if you want to take a look, there is the issue. I do have some questions about it. For performing a rollback in dry run mode, like we just need to add the flag, like dry run into the command. Is that all that we need to do? So yeah.
I think so. I mean, Robert, you implemented it, right? So, but for running it because maybe it's check mode and not dry run, because there's this weird thing when we use dry run in release tools and chat ops, but it's check mode and so maybe is worth double checking.
I believe it's a third option. I think it's -- check, but let me double check.
I think check mode is the flag in Ansible, but dry run is the variable that Ansible uses to set check mode. But I don't know what chat ops.
No, the variable is check mode for sure. Because we discussed a couple of demo ago if it was check _ mode or it was just check mode. Okay, so Robert say is --
Yeah,
check.
I wonder if we can easily add aliases. Just be like, it should be anything. It'd be like check mode, check, dry run, anything.
So what would be the command then for rolling back in dry run? Is it like chat ops run deploy?
Run deploy version
the package
--
rollback
production -- rollback -- check.
Okay, that is easy to remember. Okay. Okay, thanks. And I do have another question about who should be the change reviewer. It is not clear. It should be like always the SRE on call, or it should be someone from the team, or it doesn't really matter.
I think it's good if it's somebody who has a little bit of context to this to be able to review it, right? And the SRE on call typically is loaded with other things. So for doing the initial review, I think it should be just somebody with a little bit of context. It could be any SRE. If you look at the change management process documentation in the handbook, it's still saying that you should, let the SRE on call review this. But I think that should be changed maybe or clarified, because for C1, C2, and C3 criticality changes, you basically just need the approval of the SRE on call when you want to execute it. But for really reviewing it thoroughly, I think you should ask somebody else. I think that's better also for the SRE on call.
Yeah, when I was looking at the process for doing because there's another issue about the production, not the dry run, but the original idea of running directly production. It was reviewed by Jarv and was part of the process that just one SRE can review it, but then you need basically when you pick a schedule, you should see who is on call on that shift, and then you need his approval, which is not a full review of every single step, but it's more about I trust that another SRE reviewed it, so I just tell you can do it or you can't.
For this one, I would say that like Henry, maybe it is worth you reviewing, just checking it's all good. Like we should get Marian to be the actual approver of this and make sure that he's happy we've got all the things in place for this. So I think when we're happy, the CR is ready from our side, we think it's ready for approval. I'm happy to ping it over to him. I think it's probably, I think the CR looks good. I think how are you getting on with the summarizing of the failure cases, Alessio? Is that still, are you still wanting to make some changes to this, or you think you're done?
I need to build the table on top of that. I got sidetracked, so I had no progress on that. But yeah, I mean, it's just a summary table. So the full content, even already summarized, is there. So I really don't know. There's something worth mentioning because I was checking back my old issue, and part of the checklist is that staging test was executed and notes from the result was taken into the issue, as well as dry run is actually part. So we are doing something strange here because we are creating another change request for the dry run when it's kind of part of the main production one. But I mean, it's no problem. We can still cross-link thing and reference. So yeah, I mean, we should just point out to all the tests that we made and everything we discovered, and so we should be fine.
Yeah, I would also suggest, Alessio, on this discuss rollback failure scenarios issue, we probably rename that just so that when it links into the CR, it shows that we actually tested rollback failure scenarios.
Yeah, it's no longer discussing.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so yeah, I think we need, once we've got the table, I think, Henry, if you want to do the sort of delivery SRE check, then probably pretty good, hopefully, to ask Marian if his thoughts, for his thoughts on this one.
At a first glance, I also think the plan is looking good. I didn't find anything really missing there so far.
Super. Nice. Goes off. So yeah,
should we plan to do it for next week? I mean, if everything
this
is
week,
okay,
if we can.
This week?
I think we should try and do it this week if the security release goes out. Okay. Because once we get to next week, we'll be into the monthly release prep.
This Friday is Family and Friends Day, so we just have 2 days left.
So
we're not far away, right?
Right, we just need a table. Yeah, nice. We can do this. Cool. Super. Is there anything else we need to go through today? So maybe one thing that might be worth just sort of sharing kind of thoughts that I had, see if other people agree, which is, so we're getting kind of close now. Hopefully the dry run will be super boring, just work as expected. And then we can plan a real production test. And that will hopefully give us a pipeline that we are happy, we know works, it does rollbacks. And then there's maybe a period of time after that where we look for incidents that are suitable candidates for rollbacks and try and reuse this pipeline like where we can on incidents to kind of build our confidence, build other people's confidence. And then we could use that to kind of move into the next step of like, what does more automated rollbacks look like?
Yeah, I think sounds good. Maybe it probably is going to be boring to watch this. Maybe we'll have some fun in the prepared job. I think probably there is the only part where, I mean, I would say not the only part because who knows, but it's likely that maybe something is
Yeah.
different because that prepared job may be different because now we're going to cancel something. So I mean, but as long as failure happens before we start rolling back, everything is fine, and we can iterate on the prepared job and make sure that it works as expected.
Yeah, for sure.
If this is going to be something that's boring, should we also make this a pizza party?
And then if something goes wrong,
Yeah, you got pizza at least. We can do.
let's say that we can do a pizza party after a successful.
When it's successful.
Okay. Because
Yeah, you can schedule that.
if something goes wrong, and I don't want to be the one in the recorded call with the whole company and then we are just eating pizza. What delivery team is doing.
Also, that would need adjustment in the change request issue, right? Because you need to find the right place to order pizza before executing, right?
That's
So
true.
it's really a
Good
timing
point.
issue.
Yeah, that's true.
Should
That's
it be
true.
after stopping the post migration job or before that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. It is a good point on timing though, right? Because for this one, we're a little bit more around deploys, right? So how do we want to handle, like, assuming we can get all this stuff wrapped up and like ticked and approved, like before, okay, say like too late tomorrow morning. How do people feel about us just going with the first point that we can? So like, say we get a deployment goes through and we know we can go ahead. So we pause the post-deployment migration and then we have like a window, or do people want to try and schedule this and then we're around and can do it? Like, how do you want to handle this?
I think it will be better if we try to schedule this rather than waiting for a package.
We won't be waiting for a package though, right? Because we'll be paused there. We'll know there's a like potentially fine deployment. So say for example, like first thing tomorrow morning, we go, okay, great. We're not doing a release. We have a deployment going on. We pause the package and then see it's just incidents we're waiting on then. Do you see what I mean? Rather than saying like 3 p.m. tomorrow and try and work back from that, we just take every release and say, every deployment and say, is this one, can we use this one? And if we can, we go for it. And if we can't, like if we miss the point of pausing it, then we wait for the next one.
I think this makes sense, and maybe we also give us the opportunity to, let's say, run it twice, because let's say it takes less than we, because it's a dry run, so the deployment part should be quite easy, quite fast. There's no QA at the end, so maybe we are done in 20 minutes. I don't know, right? So you have to pose things, drain canary, whatever, but maybe it's 20, 30 minutes. If it works, great, but we ended up doing this too early, so maybe Robert or Skarbek or Myra don't have the chance to attend to it. We can do another one later in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's just go for it if we get it, because I think from a kind of site traffic point of view, the least risky time for us to do it is going to be in EMEA morning when we have SREs online, but we don't have all of the site traffic. But it's a little bit dependent. In the morning, we often have some complexities on, like, it depends what happens overnight for the deployments. So, okay, let's get this approved, and then first deployment that we see that looks like a possibility, we'll just go ahead and try and do it. And whoever's available can join and we'll record it. And then even if it's just like a couple of people, like say, let's definitely have 2 people watching this, and we'll record it, and everyone else can either try later or watch the video. Cool. Is there anything else we need to go through?
Do we need an owner for this? Like to really look for the right moment and then start driving it, creating a video session? And I mean, because I wouldn't be sure who would do this in the EMEA morning now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the alternative is that we schedule.
In any case, we need release manager support because they are the one that are promoting the regular production. They have the knowledge about the status of production and so on. So they are the ones who make the call if they can cancel or not the thing. So now Yorick is not here, but for EMEA morning, I was thinking, so but maybe Yorick, the same way he did today, they just notified me, yeah, there's no way we're gonna do this because we are still doing the deployment of the security release. Maybe this is something that Robert and Yorick could take care of. They just say notify the other team members that are usually working in that time zone. Say, yeah, I'm gonna start a production deployment now. Everything looks fine, so maybe I can cancel it. Are you available to run the rollback in whatever 2 hours time? Because more or less time is that one, because we want the promotion to complete. Maybe wait a bit of time. I mean, we don't have to wait that much after the complete deployment because it's a dry run rollback. But so in any case, this could be something like, yeah, some kind of plan.
It's a good point. And we actually don't have to rush it. So how about we say that then? We'll schedule it loosely in that it doesn't actually matter, I think, if we like cancel the post-deployment migration. It's absolutely fine if we then have 4 hours before we do the rollback, right? That's okay. So how about we get Yorick in the morning to watch for a suitable deployment. He can give us a shout. We'll know the earliest point we can do the rollback. We'll try and schedule something then like early in the day for early in the afternoon, around 2-ish UTC, right? So, or 2 or 3-ish, right? So that we can try and have as many people involved as possible. Cool, okay. We'll shout about that stuff on Slack. So yeah, we'll get Yorick to be the kind of initial trigger, and then based off that, we can agree on what the schedule looks like. Awesome. Is there anything else? Yep, super.
Sorry, do we plan to ask for the approval today so we can perform it tomorrow? So we can have everything ready for tomorrow?
Yes. Do you want to, how much of the table do you want to have in place already for that, Alessio? Like, so you can just change the title, right? If that's the easiest.
Yeah, that's I was going to suggest. So I have 30 minutes before my days, and so I have no other. I mean, it's top of my to-do list, so I would just start working on this now. But even just having title change and the summary, it really points out that all the tests we did, right? So
exactly, yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, okay, yeah. If we've got the title change, I think we can, yeah, go ahead and get it. Hopefully, get it approved. Super. Great stuff. Let's reconvene tomorrow, hopefully. Cool. Speak soon.